Stéa. Elle est le chef de section 4091 de SCFP qui représente des agents de bord à Montréal. Wesley?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wesley Lasowski, and I've been a flight attendant for 24 years. I have the honor to represent over 10,517 flight attendants at Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge as president of the Air Canada component of CUPE. I am joined today by Natasha Stea, who is the president of CUPE Local 4091, representing Air Canada flight attendants in Montreal, both here today and at the bargaining table. Our CUPE National President, Mark Hancock, our CUPE National Secretary Treasurer, Candice Rennick, and our CUPE Senior Researcher, Sylvain Chantin. I'm happy to be here today to provide an update on negotiations towards a new collective agreement with Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge. Our primary objective in this round of bargaining, after a 10-year collective agreement, is to end the abuse of unpaid work by this company and to win a desperately needed cost of living increase for all of our members, but especially our junior flight attendants. In recent years, Air Canada has been recording billions in profits, all while their flight attendants are forced to carry out hours of critical safety-related duties without pay. Everything from pre-flight safety checks to boarding, deplaning, to attending to medical and safety emergencies are done at no charge to the airline. In Canada, in 2025, that is simply not fair. Meanwhile, the cost of living crisis continues to crush our members' ability to pay rent and buy basic groceries. Since long before COVID, flight attendants have been watching our earning powers grow weaker and weaker. More and more of our flight attendants are falling below the poverty level. Our union offices in Vancouver and Toronto have had to open food banks to support our newest members as they struggle to house and feed themselves while working full-time at Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge. We still have members living out of their cars at our Vancouver base. Today, a junior Air Canada flight attendant working full-time will earn just $1,952 a month pre-tax. So again, $1,952 pre-tax per month. For comparison, someone working full-time at federal minimum wage will earn $2,840. We believe our flight attendants deserve a wage they can live with and to change this industry into a career. We believe our flight attendants deserve to be paid while they're on the job, doing vital safety work for Air Canada. It is deeply disappointing to see that Air Canada does not agree. Their best offer to date at 8% would still put the junior flight attendants at $2,108 per month. This is still over $700 per month below minimum wage. Our proposals have been evidence-based, factual, and more than fair. Sadly, Air Canada has been absent from the bargaining table since Tuesday evening as the clock ticks down towards their lockout deadline of 1:30 a.m. Saturday. We, however, have never left the bargaining table. We have and will remain ready to hear the company's response to our latest offer. But instead of staying at the table, the company has called on the federal government to intervene on their behalf, to interfere with negotiations by taking away our members' charter right to free and fair collective bargaining. Over the past few years, we have engaged with all parties in Ottawa. Every party has expressed support for our effort to end unpaid work, except the governing Liberal Party. The government has been clear. Their option is that unpaid work is a matter for the negotiation table. The government cannot change positions now and intervene on Air Canada's behalf to force us to work for free and crush our members' chartered rights. I want to take a moment to speak to our passengers. We are heartbroken that Air Canada is forcing us to go on strike just so we can earn the right to be paid for our time at work, a right that all Canadians take for granted except for flight attendants. We know how much travel means to our passengers, and we want to be there to welcome you on your next trip. We do not want to strike, and we do not want to be locked out. We love our jobs. We would much rather be flying, but in order to get there, Air Canada, you need to return to the table. We thank you very much, and we'll entertain any questions at this time.
Wesley, Jimmy Stratton with CBC. I guess one question on negotiations themselves, and
course.
There seems to have been a lot of back and forth about, this offer was presented, we never got this offer, someone's at the table, the other side's not at the table. What has actually happened? Has your union received an offer, and can you outline what that offer was?
Are you talking about the 38% number that's out there? So excellent question. So during bargaining, we've gone back and forth with proposals. And so through those proposals that we've agreed to have been building a package that we, along with the company as well, wanted to present to our membership for ratification. Air Canada walked away when we entertained wages, unpaid work, and very minor other detailed items. So those two big items seem to be the catalyst that has created them to walk away. We went to them with a wage proposal. We came back and reviewed that wage proposal and went back. Both times, we didn't get a response in writing from them, nor face-to-face discussion with them. It was relayed through mediation that they're not engaging any further. That's where it stood, and we have been at the table, at the hotel, waiting for them to come back. Instead, they've chose to respectfully go to the media and attempt to relay their version unsuccessfully, and here we are.
In terms of passengers, obviously there's hundreds of thousands of passengers, many of whom have already made one leg of their flight. A lot of anxiety out there. Listening to both sides this morning, we saw the Air Canada presser where some members walked in to that press. We've heard the rhetoric from both sides. This doesn't seem like a conflict that is in the final stages of finding a solution that both sides are happy with. How long do you see this potentially going on for? How long should Canadians expect this to go on for?
I just kind of want to disagree. I do think that this is something we can settle at the bargaining table, but it takes two parties to entertain that. Unfortunately, again, Air Canada hasn't come back to discuss wages. They seem to feel that our flight attendants are best suited with an 8% wage increase that will still keep them at the poverty level. And that respectfully is the challenge. They need to understand they have to come with more. That shouldn't be optional. I should fall under minimum standards, just like the rest of the people in this room, minus the flight attendants in the back. So it needs to get resolved at the table because we all see that that has to go up. So I think that there's many things on the table to resolve this, but it takes two to do that, and unfortunately, one party is missing. That's a fact.
Sean O'Shea with Global News. Is there, I was listening to the comments that were made earlier outside the press conference at Air Canada. Is there a real difference between how pilots are treated and flight attendants are treated? Is there a real difference of how two employee groups are treated by this airline?
I think there is a difference. I think it's a male-dominated workforce. I think they're pilots, and then we look at the female-dominated workforce of the flight attendants. It typically feels that we are second class in how we're treated with basic things like past travel, wage compensation, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's apparent that there is a difference. Where that line's drawn, I'm not sure.
Ma question est en français, si vous approchez cette Natacha. Je veux juste rebondir sur le 38% que la direction a dit. La direction dit on a présenté 38% de compensation, ça a été présenté à la table de négociation. Plutôt, vous disiez de votre côté que vous n'avez pas eu vent de ce 38%-là. Donc, est-ce que vous pouvez nous démêler tout ça? Qui dit vrai? Qui dit...
Comme Wesley disait, on a parlé de certains items et propositions qui ont été réglées. Ces propositions-là ont un montant monétaire attaché à ces montants, à ces propositions-là. L'employeur, à place d'être clair et dire que ces propositions-là qui ont été réglées valent, on va dire, 20 25 30 ils mettent un chiffre global pour dire qu'ils nous ont proposé, on entend 38, on entend 32. Le point qu'on essaie de partager à tout le monde, c'est qu'il n'y a jamais eu un 30 qui a été présenté, c'est 8 qui a été proposé. À vrai dire, il y a eu un 6 puis ils l'ont monté à 8 Le problème avec nous, c'est qu'on ne peut pas accepter 8 comme un montant qui est équitable. Parce que non seulement le coût de la vie a monté de 9 , mais on part tellement en arrière des salaires qui sont sous le seuil de pauvreté. Je ne crois pas qu'on essaie d'être déraisonnable dans nos propos quand on essaie de négocier avec l'employeur.
L'employeur disait aussi que dans ce 38%-là, ça comprenait les heures non payées, qui parlait d'heures qui allaient être payées, d'un salaire qui allait être versé. Est-ce que ça répond?
Malheureusement, non, parce que l'offre qui a été présentée de la part de l'employeur inclut des minutes, mais pas toutes les minutes. Fait que oui, ça parle d'une compensation pour le temps qu'on est au sol, mais pas tout le temps. Je vous rappelle qu'on parle d'une moyenne de 35 heures par mois pour certains de nos agents de base chez Rouge. Si on va juste compenser une vingtaine de minutes, une trentaine, même une heure, à 50% du salaire, ces agents de bar-là, si on quantifie ça en réalité, puis on met ça en chiffres, c'est en bas du salaire minimum pour nos agents de bar. Alors, c'est difficile de prendre leurs mots et prendre d'expliquer le tout parce que je ne sais pas comment ils font leurs calculs, mais c'est sûr que c'est un calcul qui est biaisé.
Leslie, can I just clarify just when's the last time the two sides have actually negotiated and has any offer, is there anything that's close to being presentable to members?
So I'll start with the end of it. How's that? So anything close to being presented to the members? No, because wage is obviously the largest part of any collective agreement. How much money am I going to take home tomorrow is going to be the question. So Air Canada hasn't replied to that. And the last time we put a pass, sorry, days are blended, but I want to say it was Tuesday, that we put a pass forward because today's Thursday, and that was later into the evening that we did that. Then nothing came back.
And what do you outline what you're looking for in terms of a wage package?
At this,
Broadly?
yeah, we're definitely looking at wages that are comparable to and a little bit higher than other carriers in Canada. That's where we're focusing, and we're just unfortunately that far behind.
So Air Canada floated that, I think it was 30+% over 4 years. Correct?
That's overall compensation.
Overall compensation.
That's not wage, that's not in my pocket, that's not bringing me out of poverty, that's not assisting me with food. That's paying me for a very small fraction of the mandated unpaid work that we must do. That's not enough.
I'm curious, and one of the things I mentioned this morning was that the union's been asking for 100% or more than 100% compensation increase. Can you elaborate on that?
Sorry, 100% compensation increase?
Yeah, 100% compensation increase. So rather than a 38%, that the union come forward with 100%.
I haven't read that.
That's what Ariel said this morning.
Oh, apologies. I guess that's what the company is saying. I'm assuming that's global compensation and that's the big number, and she's probably going back to the original package, the original pass on every single item. That's the only thing I can assume, but I'm not sure. It's certainly not in wages.
I think so. What's your ideal, I know you said like as far as kind of comparable with others in the industry, but is there a percentage that you have versus the 8%, 17.2%? That's the
There's a few percentages we're looking at, but the big thing is to bring everybody up to a place where they're, ready and able after cost of living increases to afford to live in the cities that we live in now. So that number is still flexible because we're still bargaining, but it definitely can't maintain us below, do you know what I mean, the levels we haven't required to come up to.
That would be 100% if you took the number that you gave at the beginning in terms of that entry-level position and that federal number you gave. That would represent about 100%. That's almost double, is it not? The two numbers that you gave at the beginning.
I believe it was $700 increase from 1900. 1900 plus 1900 would be 3,800. But I didn't. So 1952 is what it is now. Sorry, and the entry-level wage would be $2,840 a month for the federal minimum wage. But no, we're not asking for increases that high. No.
You're not.
Not that would be double the wage rate. No.
So as far as so the wage would be, that's on, I'm doing math right, about 50%.
Sorry, so they asked the company proposed an 8% wage increase on the already 1952. And so that's the number that I was just referencing here. But the wage increases that we're looking at today are not 100% wage increases. It's to bring them up above what they're currently making and above the cost of living increase. So if somebody's currently, you know, making what they're making now, we're looking for a higher percentage increase than 8%.
Following up before, what do you think the traveling public sees in all of this? You frontline, you brief passengers all the time. People don't talk to the pilots, generally speaking. What kind of support do you think you have from the traveling public? If there's a strike, if there's a lockout, you're going to wear it to some extent because you're going to get blamed. So talk to me a little bit about what this is going to mean for you guys. Do you think you have the support of the public?
I think with regards to the unpaid work piece, where we're coming from out of a 10-year collective agreement, kind of the work rules and what we're asking for, things such as prone rest, you know, minor pension improvements, language with regards to ensuring our Rouge flight attendants are paid. I think if people look at the facts of what's out there, yes, they would support us. And I think every Canadian can resonate with the notion that you go to work to get paid. Our Rouge flight attendants today, that's not factual. They go to work to get paid, but can lose half that pay depending on what happens. So I think those are the realities. But again, we're not looking to strike. Even today, our goal is not to strike. Our goal is to come back to the table. It's not the union that's not entertaining that. That's the company. And that's just factual. The company has left the table, not the union. The union is willing to negotiate. The union's there to negotiate. The company's stating they're ready to negotiate. They're not there to negotiate. There's a very large difference. So I appreciate the blame would fall to us because it's a strike, but it's the company that's abandoned the process. It's certainly not the union.
To the broader union, what kind of broader union support is going to be for flight attendants here? Because CBC is a big union, is there going to be a concerted effort on the part of the greater trade union movement in Canada over this issue because of the unpaid issue?
Yeah, I'll move that over to Mark for sure. Thank you.
Great, thank you, and thank you for the question. And Candace and I are here for a couple of reasons. One is obviously to show support to our bargaining committee and our members who fly the skies. And you know, want them to know that it's not just the 10,000 members that are paying attention. It kind of goes to your question. We have 750,000 CUPE members across this country, from coast to coast to coast. And I can guarantee you that most of those, if not all of those, are paying attention, not just because they may have a flight down the road, because they're paying attention to what is about to unfold here. And Wesley talked a bit about the bargaining, and I think he said that twice now we have given the employer wage offers, and not once have they replied. In fact, it was Minister Haidu who brought a no from Air Canada to the bargaining table. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, dealt with different types of governments across this country, and not once have I seen a minister reply on behalf of a company. And that sends a real bad message, not only to our flight attendants, also sends a real bad message to the labor movement generally. And people might be wondering, well, why did they issue this lockout notice? And the company is counting on this government, the Liberal government, Minister Haidu, to come in and save the day. And they're going to use probably 107 and try and end the bargaining that should have been happening the last little while. We do this across this country. We have 4,000 collective agreements plus across this country. We get collective agreements all across the country without strike votes, without strike action. We know how to get deals. We know the questions to ask at a bargaining table and how to find solutions that work for both sides. But here, unfortunately, Air Canada is counting on the government doing what they've done to railway workers, to postal workers, and to dock workers. And that's to come in and squash the strike before it happens. And I'm here to deliver a loud message on behalf of Candace, myself, our National Executive Board, that we're not going to allow that to happen. That we will have a collective agreement when our members that work for Air Canada decide that we have a collective agreement that works for them. And if the minister and if the prime minister were paying attention just a few years ago to what Doug Ford did and when he tried to impose a collective agreement as part of Bill 28 on education workers in Ontario, he saw a response, not only from CUPE, but he saw a response from the labor movement. And I have every confidence that that will happen in this situation. We will not back down. We will stand side by side with these workers until they get a collective agreement that works for them and their families. Thank you.
I really have a question, but if you could use French.
Absolument.
On a des employés d'Air Canada qui nous disent que là, en ce moment, ils s'en veulent pour le travail, mais que s'il y a une grève ou un lockout, par exemple, au Mexique, ben là, on leur dirait qu'ils doivent trouver un moyen par eux-mêmes de se revenir. Est-ce que c'est quelque chose que vous avez entendu?
Pas encore, on ne le sait pas. Puis je suis contente que vous apportez ces propos-là. Dès le début de nos négos, lorsqu'on a apporté notre avis de grève, on a apporté pas un contrat, mais une proposition, merci, une proposition à l'employeur qui serait un arrangement comment une cessation des opérations, qui serait quelque chose qui faciliterait à l'employeur de assurer des vols pour leurs passagers, pour nos agents de bord et pour Air Canada et leurs avions qui, on comprend à 100%, c'est beaucoup de coûts. Alors, l'idéal, c'est qu'il n'y ait pas de grève, mais s'il y en a une, qu'on travaillerait ensemble pour éviter le complet chaos pour nos passagers et nos agents de bord. Merci.
So just to follow up on your comments, can you outline if there was, like, with government intervention?
Sorry, Mark?
Mark, was the course of action here, and you did have that right to strike the loop and were forced back to work in some
For sure.
capacity? How would that be dealt with?
That would be dealt with by the workers, indicating that they're not going to accept and impose collective agreement. And when you belong to a union, you don't join a union to be part of the race to the bottom. And you heard some of the wages that some of our members are receiving for doing the amazing work. And I fly a lot. This is a big country. So I get to spend a lot of time with amazing folks that work for Air Canada and other airlines. And I can tell you they are second to none in what they do. And I didn't become national president to watch our labor rights get trampled by a liberal government or a conservative government. And what we've seen in the last couple years with the use of 107 has dramatically taken away workers' rights to exercise their constitutional right to withdraw services. And we're in the courts. Like we're in the courts from the ports, and when I know the other unions are in the courts as well. But the reality of the courts is it's going to be 10 years before we get a decision all the way through the Supreme Court of Canada. And our flight attendants and other workers do not have the ability to wait for 10 years to make a living wage, a wage that pays them what they're worth, that they need for their families to continue to survive, basically. So at some point, you got to draw a line in the proverbial sand. And as I said, we did that with Doug Ford and Bill 28 with education workers. We drew that line in the sand, and CUPE members and other organized workers from across the country and the province said they would stand with us. And my expectation is that will happen again this time.
So just to make sure I understand this correctly, so in that case, if it were to come to a government imposed kind of return to work, what would CUPE refuse? Just say, no,
What I'm saying is we're going to follow the lead of our bargaining committee, who are following the lead of our members that work for Air Canada. And we're going to support them every step of the way. And if that means those type of actions, that we'll be there to support them.
Okay, thank you so much. So we're going to be done.
How would you treat that if your members were ordered to return to work?
We'll have to review that at the time. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.